real close family.
The beauty of scheduling videos to come out way in advance is that so long as I build a backlog of video content that will be coming out in the future, I can record way in advance of certain dates. And anyway, all of a sudden, I'm not having a very good day, and I have been struggling with the general notion of coming up into my office and sitting down and recording video content. And I fear that if I do not just sit down and start yapping to the camera, I'm not going to actually get anything accomplished to that end. So today, we not only have an impromptu video, but a very impromptu video topic. Like I said, I'm not having a very good day. I can't really talk about why I'm not having a very good day, but I will probably flash up a video card at the top of the screen right about now, linking to another video that I have done that pertains to why I'm not having a very good day. But recently, I have been kicking around in my head what I'm even going to do with some of the video sub banners that I have introduced to the channel. Most of them don't get very good viewership, but in that respect, I direct your attention down to all of the reminder signs / logos that I have included in the layout. At the time of recording this video, the video that I am about to mention and link in a title card has only gotten 27 views. And it should be remembered that YouTube does count my own views towards that view count to a limited extent. But my Godzilla story, An Ode to Don Vincenzo, only has something like 27 views at the time of recording this video on July 19th, 2025 at approximately 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. That video ended up being an emotional labor of love on my part, particularly because I made it closer to when we suddenly and relatively inexplicably lost my father back on September 12th of 2022. But I've been wondering what I can use the fine-tuning video series banner to kind of touch upon, and I just wanted to kind of go over a few songs that remind me of my father, who I miss very much, especially on days like today. I'm trying not to get emotional for views, but regardless of my emotional attachment to the subject matter, I wanted to go over 5 Hank Williams Jr. songs that I believe are tied closely to the memory that I have for my father. Spoiler alert, not all of these songs are specifically going to be songs that were written or performed strictly by Hank Williams Jr. But I do have a playlist of music on my phone called SFD, Safe for Dad, which I used to pretty much exclusively use whenever he would drive me and drive alone with me in the car, because reasonably not every song that I like fit my father's own musical taste. I remember around the new year of 2024/2025, I did an entire video on my own personal musical tastes. To be clear, the music that I'm about to talk about, though, is also in my musical taste wheelhouse. It's just that all of these songs share the common denominator of being songs that my dad really liked. And though I do not have the physical CDs that he had for any of these albums in my own house, they are back at my mom's house in the guest bedroom, which was my bedroom when I was living there before I started recording video content on the regular. So I guess the fact that this video is going to centrally revolve around Hank Williams Jr. and his kind of musical stylings, most of the songs that are included in this video will inevitably get this video demonetized. So your active decision to support this channel and my content will be crucial for this video in particular. First and most obviously, I'm going to play a clip from the following song.
live back in the woods, you see. A woman and the kids and the dogs and me. I got a shotgun, a rifle, and a four-wheel drive, and a country boy can survive. Country folks can survive.
A Country Boy Can Survive by Hank Williams Jr. And I don't know exactly what album it originally was released on. No, I have it on my phone. The Pressure Is On. I obviously have not edited this video yet, so I do not know which part of the lyrics nor which parts of the music video I'm going to include in this one. All I know is I had to mention this song for this video because I didn't know a lot about the kind of environment and interests of my father when he was relatively my age, and technically before that. Not because he did not tell me, nor because he did not share, because the man was very close to my younger brother and I. All I know is that he loved Hank Williams Jr. Like, if I could pin the man down to any one specific musical artist, which is a very difficult task, because my father before me, but much like me, was very hard to pin down to any one particular genre. Stuff that I have included in previous episodes of the Fine Tuning sub-banner may be closely related to some of the music that he actually liked. All I know is that my dad had, as his senior quote in his high school yearbook, either strictly a lyric from that song or a slightly modified lyric from A Country Boy Can Survive by Hank Williams Jr. I cannot listen to A Country Boy Can Survive anymore without being reminded of my father.
I wish my father was here.
That may be why I sat down and just started blurting out this video. Like I said, I haven't had a very good day, and for some reason, in his absence, the memory of my father helps get me through these tough times. Now, my dad, I think, liked Hank Williams Jr. partially because his music did the same thing for him. And I think this next song is relatively appropriate, so let me play a short snippet from it.
Got a good woman at home who thinks I do no wrong, but sometimes, Lord, she just ain't always around, and you know that's when I fall. Now I can't help myself at all, and I get
Just to provide some context for that clip that I just played from Whiskey Bent and Hellbound by Hank Williams Jr. from the album of the same name, at least according to my phone, I do not drink. Now, in videos in the past, I have remarked that I am Roman Catholic in terms of religious background and current religious practice. So I just want to clarify, I'm not going to preach about drinking or not drinking. My religious background does not preclude me from partaking in consumption of liquor.
Mr. Rumson, you think everything that comes out of the earth should be used to make liquor?
Whenever possible, yes.
You should read the Bible, Mr. Rumson.
I have read the Bible, Mrs. Fanny.
Didn't that discourage you about drinking?
No, but it sure killed my appetite for reading.
That being said, I do not drink myself, so that needs to be taken into context when one considers that I really appreciate and really like Whiskey Bent and Hellbound, because when I'm feeling really beaten to a pulp by life in general and the world around me in general, like I said, I find solace in a lot of the music that my dad tended to like, and Hank Williams Jr.'s Whiskey Bent and Hellbound may not be perfectly applicable to how I cope with stress and deal with problems. Multiple sclerosis does not exactly mix well with getting lifted via consumption of substances of various natures. But, I mean, that chorus, man.
Whiskey hellbound.
Anyway, okay, so I said not every single song is going to be a Hank Williams Jr. song. What did I mean by that? Well, my dad liked all three of the Hank Williams clan, if you can call it that. He also really liked Hank Williams III, which, if I recall correctly, always annoyed my mother significantly. And to be fair, when I was really young, Dad didn't really let us listen to Hank Williams III because his sort of musical stylings contrasted very strongly with Hank Williams I and Hank Williams Jr., specifically in that they were more raunchy. But, and as my dad always said, it wasn't that Hank Williams III could not do classical 1980s era country music. He just didn't do it in order to kind of forge his own path and make a name for himself. But I have to say, Low Down by Hank Williams III is a damn fine song.
Low down once again. Well, I'm struggling now to get by, my friend. It's keeping me up real late at night. I just can't settle down my honky-tonk life. Drifting around about 4:30 with the blues on my back and a bottle on the floor. Drinking until I think I'm gonna fall down, 'cause my sweet little baby had to kick me low down, low.
I don't really have a whole lot to say other than when I get really down low sometimes, I may not drink and I may not partake, as it were, but, you know, that's kind of the strength of well-written and well-performed good music. Even if you don't necessarily vibe with the genre, good music, it's much like a good movie. Good is good. It doesn't really matter. And I think that is kind of the core of what drives a lot of my own personal music taste, and I would posit drove a lot of my father before me's musical taste. He didn't like music necessarily because it slotted into what he liked. It was more so that he liked it because it was just objectively good. But okay, let me get back to all of the Hank Williams Jr. specific music that my dad also really liked.
And I think I know what my father meant when he sang about a lost highway. And old George Jones, I'm glad to see, is finally getting straight. And Waylon's staying home and loving Jesse more these days. And nobody wants to get drunk and get loud. And all my rowdy friends have settled down.
Okay, this one is more of a personal pick for me.
Me?
But if my dad was able to astral project from the other side down here and be part of the video, I'm sure he would talk about how much he liked this song as well. I'm so much like my dad, sometimes it hurts. I really like All My Rowdy Friends Have Settled Down. I do apologize. I'll probably put a warning before this video for that reason. On days like today where I'm feeling very melancholy,
And if I get melancholy, which can happen, I expect you to be my companion and to solace me.
Very down, very sad. A lot of times I tend to go to that specific song. If you can't tell by the kind of content that I produce and put out on this YouTube channel, I'm not much of a party guy. As Hank Williams Jr. himself says in that song, I don't go out to get drunk and get loud. I've never been that way. Anyone who has known me in real life, my girlfriend now, my brother, my mom, my dad before me, they would say I'm not a very rambunctious, rowdy kind of guy, so I don't really relate to the direct, specific details that Hank Williams Jr. recounts through his music. I mostly sympathize with, I apologize, the vibe. The kind of melancholy, downtrodden, I don't know, sort of salt of the earth kind of musical styling of Hank Williams Jr. You know, my dad always described himself as a typical workaday Joe kind of guy. And you know, in spite of all of the people who have treated me like I am some kind of Superman across my life, I kind of inherited a similar way of looking back on myself. And I think to a significant degree, that's why I like music like Hank Williams Jr. in spite of its contrast with many of the more pop-punk, zillennial kind of, you know, Blink-182, Newfound Glory, Simple Plan kind of tracks, you know? Okay, this video has been running for 30 minutes, so let me try to wrap this up.
Into these last few beers, I have shed a million tears. You are on my lonely mind. I'm gonna keep drinking until I'm petrified, and then maybe these tears will leave my eyes. There's a tear in my beer, 'cause I'm crying for you, dear. You are on my lonely mind.
Last night I walked the floor, and the night before, you were on my lonely mind. It seems my life is through, and I'm so doggone blue. You are on my lonely mind. I'm gonna keep drinking till I can't move a toe, and then maybe my heart won't hurt me so. There's a tear in my beer, 'cause I'm crying for you, dear. You are on my lonely mind.
The song that motivated me sitting down and kind of blurting out all of this content to make a video comes from the song There's a Tear in My Beer, a very special sort of case. If I don't recall correctly, There's a Tear in My Beer was an unreleased Hank Williams Sr., Hank Williams the First song. Either that or it was a released song of his that Hank Williams Jr. wanted to go back and kind of perform a post-mortem duet iteration of. And as I have struggled very much with throughout recording this video, I lost my own father, and like I said, Hank Williams Jr. was kind of the artist that I'm most closely associated with his musical taste. So the fact that Hank Williams Jr. performed a duet with his father who had passed away before him in this particular song, and I believe in the music video in a sort of edited kind of fashion, reminds me very much of me and my own dad. And the automatic silence remover is probably doing a half-decent job of making it hard to tell, but I'm having a hard time talking and recording this video, particularly this section, because There's a Tear in My Beer wells up some kind of melancholic sort of of sensation within me due to Hank Williams Jr.'s association with my late father, and the kind of general idea of the song just being a kind of miracle of editing and sound designing to bring a son back into the presence of the father that he lost. It just does something to me, man. Anyway, that's about all I'm going to do for this video. If you can't tell by the look on my face, I'm getting very emotional. But like I said, I'm having a rough day today. This video was recorded well in the past, as you know it, for the 4 or 5 quite literal people that watch it, but I just needed to talk about it, man. Like I said, that Ode to Don Vincenzo video didn't exactly draw a whole lot of attention. I'm going to have to shift around some of the videos already in my video queue to put this video out, but it was important to me. I wanted to do it. It is a form of catharsis for me, so hopefully going through and editing the video itself is not an emotional roller coaster. But regardless, I hope that if you have stumbled upon this video in some way, I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope you took it easy through all of my emotional kind of reckoning. And until next time, guys, I will catch you on the flip side.